Today, we're heading to a very, well, visible spot on the U.S. southern border, El Paso, Texas.
Right.
And we're going to track a really striking change there, going from just a couple of years back when this specific place was, well, a hub of intense activity,
A real focal point.
to now where things are remarkably quiet. It's a huge swing.
It really is. And our sources give us this unique view, like a front row seat, to how things have changed.
Now, as we get into this, we'll be talking about people crossing the border. The source material often uses the official term illegal aliens.
Yes, that's the language in the reports.
We'll acknowledge that language when it comes up, but for our chat here, just to keep it conversational and accessible, we'll mostly say migrants or asylum seekers or maybe individuals crossing without authorization.
Sounds good. And our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is really to unpack that journey of change in El Paso. We're using observations, direct ones, from August 2025, but they reflect shifts over the last couple of years.
And importantly, we're not picking sides here.
Not at all. We're laying out the facts, the descriptions, just as they're presented in the material we have.
So you, the listener, can think about what it all implies, this rapid transformation.
Yeah, what makes this so compelling is just the speed, how quickly things have changed on the ground there. It's a vivid case study in border dynamics.
Okay, so let's start by winding back the clock. Let's picture May 2023, deep into the Biden administration.
Right.
Back then, the El Paso sector, that's the Border Patrol zone, it was under, immense strain.
That's putting it mildly.
Our sources, they paint a really clear picture, just how intense it was. In that 1 month, May 23, over 26,000 individuals. That's the official illegal alien count from authorities.
26,000.
In 1 month. Think about that. It averages out. It's nearly 1,000 people crossing into that sector every single day.
Every day.
And here's the kicker, something that really shows the scale of what was happening even before then.
Yeah.
At the time, that huge number, nearly 1,000 a day, it was actually described as a 9-month low.
Wow. A low point. So it had been even higher before that.
Exactly. It gives you a real sense of the sheer volume, the constant flow El Paso was dealing with.
And looking closer at that time, May 2023, you could really see it on the ground. It wasn't just numbers.
How so?
Well, the reports describe scenes, hundreds of migrants seen crossing the Rio Grande, just wading through.
Okay.
They'd be picked up, processed pretty quickly by Border Patrol, but then, crucially, many were released right onto the streets of El Paso.
Or at least directly into the city.
Yeah. And this wasn't just a statistic, right? It fundamentally changed the city environment.
I can imagine.
Much of downtown El Paso, according to our sources, it basically turned into what someone called a pseudo-homeless shelter.
A pseudo-homeless shelter.
Yeah. We're talking hundreds of people, men, women, families, sometimes just gathering in public areas, packing into local charities, trying to get help. Or sometimes just, loitering on sidewalks, street corners for quite a while, waiting for transport, maybe trying to make plans, figure out what to do next before heading off to other cities in the U.S.
It sounds like a very visible, very tangible daily reality.
Yeah.
Must have hugely impacted the city's infrastructure, social fabric.
Absolutely profound impact.
And you can just picture the strain on local resources, the community, the charities trying to keep up. Our sources actually highlight specifics, like Sacred Heart Church, right downtown. It became a real focal point for this.
Major hub, yeah.
In 2023 alone, just that one charity, Sacred Heart, they served an incredible 15,000 individuals who had crossed the border.
15,000 in 1 year. At one place.
Providing meals, some temporary shelter, basic things, sometimes even help with travel.
A lifeline for many.
And it's interesting, the sources note many of these migrants were from places like Venezuela.
Right. That detail gives us a sense of the diversity, the different origins of people making these really tough journeys.
Often fleeing really complex situations back home.
Yeah.
Right? Social, economic, political turmoil.
Exactly. And then crossing into the U.S., looking for refuge, or maybe just a new start.
And the sheer volume you mentioned, it must have created this cascade of challenges.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't just about feeding and sheltering people for a day or two.
Yeah.
It was managing this constant, just overwhelming flow. The resources of a city like El Paso, even with amazing efforts from charities like Sacred Heart.
You must have been stretched so thin. To the breaking point, really.
Totally. Which meant those scenes downtown, the crowds, the strain on services, They weren't just random incidents.
They were direct consequences.
Direct consequences of a system completely overwhelmed by numbers it wasn't built for. It really underscores the pressure, the humanitarian challenges for everyone involved, the migrants and the community trying to respond.
Okay, so let's move forward on our timeline. Our deep dive takes us to an interesting middle point, September 2024.
Right, a year or so later.
By this time, the sources show that encounters in the El Paso sector, they'd already dropped quite a bit from those peak levels.
Yeah, significantly. About half, actually, from their previous highs.
Half. So what does that look like in daily numbers?
They were averaging around 416 encounters per day.
Okay, 416, so definitely a decrease from almost 1,000.
It's a big drop, yeah.
But still, 416 people encountering Border Patrol every single day. That's still a substantial number.
Absolutely. It's not insignificant by any means.
So this period, September 2024, it stands out as a kind of, well, halfway point.
That's a good way to put it. A halfway house, maybe? A big reduction from May 2023, yes, but not yet the dramatic quiet we're about to get to.
Right. Suggests things were already shifting. Maybe policies, maybe migration patterns themselves. Something was changing things on the ground.
Seems likely, even before, the more recent administrative changes we'll discuss.
So for you listening, keep that number in mind. 416 encounters a day, back in September 24.
Yeah, it's a crucial reference point. It shows that even with a big reduction, the El Paso sector was nowhere near closed at that point.
Right. It sets the stage for the even bigger shift to come.
Exactly. It shows how dynamic the border is, how it responds to different pressures.
Okay. Now, get ready for a really stark contrast. We're jumping ahead again. August 2025.
Here we go.
This, our source material says, is 7 months into a new Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
And the current stats from the El Paso sector, they are, well, nothing short of dramatic.
Okay.
Border Patrol are now encountering an average of just 35 individuals crossing the border per day.
35.
35.
Yes.
That's the average as of July, right before these observations were made. Let me just say that again, because the shift it's huge.
Yeah, please do.
From nearly 1,000 a day in May 2023.
Right.
And 416 a day in September 2024.
Okay.
We're now down to an average of just 35 per day.
Wow. From almost 1,000 to 35.
That's what, more than a 96% drop from the 2023 numbers? It's astonishing.
Astonishing is the right word. It's not just a decline. It's almost a complete stop to the large-scale crossings that defined that area just a couple of years ago.
And the visible results of this on the streets in El Paso.
Just as striking. Our sources quote people directly. They describe the streets now as pretty quiet.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah. Those scenes we talked about earlier, hundreds of migrants outside places like Sacred Heart Church.
Go on.
Simply not happening anymore. That bustling, sometimes chaotic feel has just been replaced by, well, quiet, a noticeable calm. It's a total reversal of the city landscape.
Wow.
And there's this quote from a local resident that really brings it home.
There you go.
It's great. We was having a lot of people, not all of them good, so we have a lot of problems right there in the corner of my job, but now it's very pitiful and very quiet and everything is better.
Very pitiful and very quiet. Interesting phrasing.
Yeah, pitiful might mean something like sparse or meager in this context, contrasting with the previous crowds. But the core message is clear.
Right. It underscores that huge shift in daily life for people living and working there. And it also hints at, some of the difficulties or negative impacts locals felt during the previous influx.
Exactly. The change isn't just numbers, it's the entire atmosphere, the feel of the city.
That personal account really makes it vivid, the relief some residents are feeling.
It does.
And the ripple effects, they go even further, right? Hitting the actual infrastructure built up for the influx.
That's right. The sources detail how facilities that were used specifically to process people crossing in the El Paso sector, they've closed down completely.
Buildings, operations that were running flat out just a couple years ago.
Now shut. And maybe even more significantly, those charities, like Sacred Heart Church.
One that helped 15,000 people in 2023, a lifeline.
That exact one. They've also stopped their operations. The reason is, well, simple but profound. There's just a lack of people crossing the border in that sector for them to serve.
Wow. Not just fewer people, but so few that the entire support system shuts down.
Exactly. It's a systemic shutdown reflecting this huge drop in activity.
That implies pretty big economic and social impacts too, doesn't it? Not just for migrants, but for the local economy, the charity staff.
Absolutely. Significant follow-on effects.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, this closure of facilities, charities, It's more than just reduced numbers.
It really is. It speaks to a fundamental comprehensive change in the whole nature of the border, at least in this specific area.
And the overall assessment from the source?
It's very direct, unambiguous, really. Quote, "The border in the El Paso sector is closed."
Closed. What does that mean practically, based on these descriptions? Empty streets, closed facilities?
It means those large-scale, very visible crossings and the resulting presence of many migrants on city streets. That's just not the norm anymore. Not there. The systems that were totally overwhelmed before are now quiet. Some are gone entirely. It points to a massive shift from that open, active flow to this dramatically reduced, almost negligible level of activity.
A completely new operational reality for border management in El Paso.
Seems so, based on these observations.
Okay, wow. Let's try pulling all these threads together. We've just walked through this incredible swing in El Paso.
Quite a journey.
We saw May 2023, thousands arriving daily. Downtown described as that pseudo-homeless shelter, Sacred Heart serving 15,000 people.
Intense pressure.
Then September 2024, a big drop, but still hundreds daily, around 416.
A significant reduction, but still busy.
And now, August 2025, encounters down to just 35 a day, quiet streets, processing centers closed, those same charities shut down because there's nobody to serve.
It's almost hard to imagine such a transformation in, just over 2 years?
The speed is really one of the most striking things here.
It really is. And here's where it gets really interesting, you know? Without taking any political sides at all, these changes we've seen in El Paso, they provide this powerful, undeniable case study.
In what way?
They show just how dramatically and how quickly border dynamics seem to respond to administrative shifts, to policy changes.
Right.
A key takeaway from the sources is just how elastic the border system seems to be. It can pivot from being completely overwhelmed to relatively quiet in a really short time.
Which kind of challenges maybe older ideas about how slowly migration patterns change.
Exactly. This huge reduction from a flood to a trickle. It obviously has a massive impact. For communities like El Paso, sure, there's immediate relief from that strain. But also for the migrants, right? People who might have aimed for El Paso before might now have to rethink routes, methods.
Or maybe decide not to come at all.
Or that. And it impacts the whole system of border management, too.
So when you hear about this kind of rapid, comprehensive transformation of a place, its community, what stands out to you, the listener?
Maybe it's the sheer power of policy, how quickly it seems to shape human movement on such a scale.
Or maybe it's the ripple effects, and all the lives involved, things we see and things we don't.
Yeah, the seen and unseen consequences. It's truly remarkable.
So reflecting on this whole narrative, we've taken this deep dive into a very specific slice of the border story.
Just one sector, El Paso.
Following it from that period of intense activity and strain to this state of, unexpected quiet, all based directly on the observations, the accounts, and our source material.
And the El Paso story is like a microcosm, isn't it? It shows just how fast things can change.
It really does.
And this brings up a really important question, I think, for all of us.
Which is?
The source paints this vivid picture, right? A border in flux. It shows how fast a physical space, a community, can be transformed by these external pressures and implicitly by the policy decisions driving those pressures.
Yeah.
So for you listening, we invite you to think about the wider implications. What does a shift this swift, this profound, really mean?
What are the long-term effects? The seen ones, the unseen ones.
Exactly. When a border area, once this torrent of activity, a focal point for global movement, suddenly becomes still.
What does that mean long-term?
Think about the economics, the social side, the human dimensions. It all extends way beyond just the immediate quiet streets. How might a drastic change like this reshape future migration, or even change the very nature of border communities themselves?
Lots to think about there. A provocative thought to end on.